Hello everyone, welcome to QNAP Live broadcast. I'm Sam, your host for today's topic, and today we have our PM Ripple with me because we're talking about very exciting new features, which is the QTS 4.3.5. And when Ripple's right here, we know that we're talking something deeper than before. So the topic for today is that we want to show you how can QNAP enhance your storage into a maximum performance. So let's get into the slides and we will see what are the topics for today.
Okay.
And today we have three of the main points. The first one is the software-defined additional SSD, which is the over-provisioning, which I think that if you are in the tech field, you might know that over-provisioning and how it works with the SSD. And we have provided another advanced SSD cache. So that will be the first of the topic. And the second topic will be the storage space management and monitoring. Well, we have something new. Of course, we also cooperate with the Seagate, and we have some new UI, and we have some new features and methods for you to manage all your storage. And the third point will be the snapshot. And basically, now we provide some new features and new functions to make you recover all your like your backup data or your backup snapshot from the remote side more easier and more faster. So basically, this will be all based on the 10G generation of the transmission speed. So let's get into the important part and tell us about what you have today, Rupal.
Okay. Thanks, Ken, and hello everyone. And I'm PM for Storage Station. And let's go to next slide directly. So today we are going to discuss about SSD cache, and storage management and snapshot. Is basically all the storage and snapshot function has been improved in our 4.3.5. And first of all, I want to use the topic of 10G to introduce those improvements, because in this 4.3.5, we know that this year 10G is become much cheaper and more major for not only a business environment but also personal user. In fact, our own company QNAP have released a management switch. As you can see in the picture, this is a switch that is cheaper than most of the other 10G switch on the market, and it can be your first switch. So in this new generation with the 10G speed, we want to improve our storage destination because we want to make sure that our storage have enough speed to support the 10G, and also we want our storage management to be flexible enough to store more data. And finally, we want our backup and restore solution can also utilize the 10G performance, so that not only business but also personal users can enjoy a fast backup and restore speed. So this is why we are going to discuss about SSD today, because SSD we know is faster than HDD. We want to discuss about storage management, and we want to discuss about snapshot restore. Okay. So first, let's first go to the topic, which is called software-defined additional or external SSD over-provisioning and advanced SSD cache. I believe that some of the power user and distributor may already heard of the term over-provisioning. And today, I'm starting to announce that in our 4.3.5, we are going to support the software-defined external SSD over-provisioning in our QTS system. So why we are discussing about SSD? Because in this generation, in this year, not only the 10G, the SSDs become much cheaper, and we want our storage to be a SSD awareness storage. So today we are going to discuss about SSD over-provisioning, and also we have the other improvements such as write-only cache and SSD cache support RAID 5 and 6. Okay, so first, a challenge that our user who use SSD may encounter is that when using SSD, it might be faster at the beginning, but the performance will be degraded gradually. And many users have discussed we are a development team to try to find the reason why. And today I'm going to share our studying result. So first of all, as I mentioned before, SSD price in this year is become much cheaper. in the right hand, you can see a study report released by SanDisk, which is a famous SSD provider. In the report, you can see that SSD price for specific capacity has decreased to 30% from 5 years before. So right now, SSD has become much cheaper, and we believe SSD can be utilized in network attached storage systems such as QNAP, because the majorly is because in the NAS storage we have more users than instead of one. We may need to transfer a lot of files at the same time, and also we have business application that need high IOPS. So from the table, you can see that HDD has generally about 300 IOPS only, because it's a mechanical drive and you have a read head, and the read head, as you see the picture, it cannot support all the random iSER, which data block need to be read from random location. While SSD, on the other hand, it can provide a faster IOPS to up to 16,000, because it's a flash technology, storage technology, and does not require a rehead. Okay, so QNAP already provide many different configurations for SSD. As you can see, we can for real-time performance boost, user can choose between SSD global cache, or furthermore, they can deploy all-flash storage. On the other hand, if the demand is not real-time and user believe that SSD capacity should also be utilized, so they can also choose the hybrid storage Q-tier auto-tiering in our NAS system as a SSD solution. So what I mentioned between the difference between the real-time and continuous data tiering is that when the SSD capacity is empty, all the data will go to SSD at the beginning. But the major difference between SSD cache and Q-tier is that when the SSD is full, SSD cache can continue write new data. You can continue writing data into the SSD, because the SSD cache will continually flush the unused data back to the storage. On the other hand, Q-tier is a scheduled tiering task. So if the SSD tier is already full, it might need some time before SSD tier's data be moved back to capacity tier. So this is how I separate the using scenario between SSD cache and Q-tier. So now a real case is that TV station which located in Spanish have cooperated with us in the past few months to study the SSD performance. And this customer is using SSD cache because, as you can imagine, in the TV station there has many urgent news need to be the material need to be uploaded to the NAS and be editing online by the editor. So the issue they find while using SSD cache is same as many our users, is that in the beginning the SSD is very fast, but as you can see from the chart, after some time the total network throughput is starting to drop as the SSD cache becomes full after a very long term of usage. And our development team have worked with this customer to identify that this reason might relate to how SSD work, and we want to make sure that our customer can have a solution without purchasing higher end SSD. Because in the 4.3.5, one of the major focus is that we want to let our sales or let distributor to tell customer that our QNAP have a solution to solve your problem, instead of just telling user to purchase higher, more enterprise level SSD or purchase new equipment. For this reason, we study the SSD performance, and here we will explain why the SSD performance can degrade and how we can solve this problem. So the SSD works differently from HDD for one major reason is that SSD is a flash storage. So as you can see, SSD have a block and page, and you see the red page inside a block, which means that the system already tells the SSD that those data can be removed. However, the data are still kept in the SSD, because unlike HDD, which data page can be overwrite, session can be overwrite directly, that SSD need to erase the whole block before writing new data into the block. So as you see in the picture, like in SSD, if a block is both contain valid and invalid data, the SSD must move the valid data into a new block and then erase the existing block so that it can write new data. With this operation we call garbage collection. And when SSD is full and there has no enough space for SSD to conduct garbage collection and temporarily move the data around, this is a reason why SSD becomes slower. Okay, so in QNAP Lab, we have tested a majority of SSD, and we find that even the enterprise SSD, as you see from the chart, the deep blue one is Intel data center SSD. You can see that even the data center SSD, after some time, its performance will drop. And for the other yellow or example orange line, you can see those consumer SSD performance can drop to lower than data center SSD, because they are consumer SSD and more care about the burst performance. And so different SSD brand, different SSD model may have different ability to conduct this garbage collection ability. And we want to ensure that even the customer have not purchased the right SSD at the beginning, we will not tell them to purchase new SSD. And our development team want to find a solution to help users improve their performance directly through our system. And this is why we're discussing SSD over-provisioning today. So in our study, we have identified that SSD are all having internal over-provisioning. So this is down to a difference between the calculation of the SSD capacity. So as we know, SSD is a flash storage, so its capacity should be percent with GB bytes, which is equal to the number you see in the screenshot, which is bit number. But however, as a storage device, storage vendor actually have calculated the capacity in another format, which is in gigabytes. And in this format, you can see those two different numbers. In our system. SSD, because of this reason, it may actually report less capacity than it really have. So for every GB in SSD, it contains some free space or reserve space for helping SSD to conduct a garbage collection. And for enterprise SSD, it may reserve more space to helping the help placing the temporary file and improve the garbage collection ability. So for example, in the below table, you can see that SSD actual size is 256 GB. The actual size in the NAS system might be varied because not only the SSD internal reserve over-provisioning and vendor over-provisioning, and also the calculation of different units all costs are in our NAS system. The SSD size will be different from what vendor claims. Okay, so after identify this over-provisioning, we want to dive deep to understand why this over-provisioning is important for the SSD performance. So as you can see, this simplified example, there has 6 pages need to be write to a very small SSD, which only have 4 blocks. And we see from this chart, if the data need to be, when the data want to be write into the SSD directly, you can see you can only write 4 pages, and the rest pages cannot be write into the SSD because as I mentioned before, the SSDs work differently with HDD, and the orange block cannot be used directly unless it has been the whole block is being erased. So the actual procedure that SSD write those 6 pages is different. So here is the chart showing this procedure. Is that when we need to write those new pages, the SSD must conduct garbage collection in advance. So we can see that, okay, here, when the data block is in this condition, there has 4 pages need to be rearrangement to the empty block first. and you can see that the data being write to the purple block. And then we all those when the whole block become empty, the SSD can conduct garbage collection and finally write data into the first and second block. And in this operation, you can see that actually when we write 6 pages, the SSD internally need to write additional 4 times, and the total time the SSD need to write pages is 10. So this condition or this situation we call write amplifies, which is that when SSD need to write data, it need to write more than the actual data size. Okay, so this is how SSD can write those 6 pages. And we identify that right now also you can see there is a purple and orange cross block, which means that SSD will only conduct garbage collection when there has new data need to be write. And if the SSD support SSD tree, which most SSDs should support now, it might continually rearrange the data even there has no new data need to be written. So those data block might need to be trained later. So for examples, the 2 data will be moved to send as a second block. So there has a whole block as a over-provisioning reserve space in the end. And this is the final result. And so here we can imagine if there has more over-provisioning reserve space in the SSD, you can see very clearly that actually the SSD does not need to conduct the garbage collection, and all the 6 pages can be write directly into the SSD. So this simple process showing an important concept is that when the SSD have more over-provisioning space, the write amplifies effect has been eliminated. So actually, we more over-provisioning in these simplified cases. The SSD only need to write 6 pages, which is the same as the actual data size. Okay. So using these concepts, we can quickly understand those 2 reports. Those reports are provided by SSD vendor, which we can see that when the SSD in the first left-hand side, the first report showing that if the SSD can reserve some space, for example, compared to utilize 100% of the SSD capacity, if we only utilize 80%, the write amplifies ratio can be decreased dramatically. After this, we also know that if the write amplifies effect has been eliminated or reduced, the SSD overall lifespan can also be increased, which is shown in the right-hand side report that SSD life, which is measured in terabyte written, has increased as we have reserved more space in the SSD. So after all those reports, we can identify in QNAP Lab ourselves that this additionally over-provisioning not only can increase the SSD endurance, it can also increase the SSD cache write performance after a long time of usage. So this example from those reports, the first report, you can see that we use TVS 82. We recommend SSD, which is the same as SSD vendor that give those report, and we see that under different over-provisioning ratio, the SSD cache performance actually become higher, and those performance are consist performance, which is final performance after a long time of usage.
Yes.
So this report, this is how the test result is sent as the report that given by the vendor, which you can see in the second chart, showing that in the first whole writing cycle, you can see that the X mean the whole total size that SSD be written. For example, in the first writing cycle, for example, a 500 gigabyte SSD, when you write 500 gigabit of data, the performance is basically the same with different over-provisioning ratio. But if more data continue be write into the SSD, the SSD consist performance will change depending on how more space is being reserved as over-provisioning. So with this, we can now identify that over-provisioning can not only help to improve SSD endurance and reduce the write amplifiers effects, it can also increase the consist write performance of SSD. And this result can apply to not only Micron SSD, but also the other SSD as we test, such as Intel or Sensor. So after identifying this benefit, we have cooperated with a customer from Spanish TV station. We have designed a software-defined SSD additional or external over-provisioning. We have conducted this over-provisioning in a rate level, which that deciding from the SSD internal over-provisioning, which is 70% based on the unit calculation difference, and the other vendor reserve SSD, we allow user to configure additional over-provisioning ratio in a rate level. So that with this over-provisioning, user can decide if he has or she has intensive write scenario, he can further reserve more space in the SSD to improve the consist write performance. And here in the gray area, we can see that now as SSD all support SSD tree, those empty space can also be deemed as a dynamically over-provisioning space. But what important is still that our QNAP can allow user to reserve more over-provisioning space. So here we can see at the bench of software-defined over-provisioning. As I mentioned, you can see from the left-hand side, we list additionally over-provisioning like Intel SSD and Samsung SSD all show better consist write performance in our test. And from the SSD vendors report and storage reviewer, we know that we list over-provisioning feature because the SSD endurance has been increased and the consist performance is being enhanced. The actual TCO, which is total cost of ownership of a SSD for IT manager, can actually become less because he can need to replace SSD less frequently. And also, if manager wanted, he can also choose not so enterprise SSD, but also use a higher capacity SSD with an over-provisioning feature to retain the same consist write performance. Okay, so now in 4.3.5, as you can see in the user interface, the SSD over-provisioning can be configured very easily. And this over-provisioning can be changed with a ratio between 0 to up to 16%. And user can enable our software-defined SSD external over-provisioning in both static volume, QT port, storage port, and SSD cache. However, a very important note is that the over-provisioning can only enable by recreating a storage space. It's okay for SSD cache, but maybe a little bit pity for the Q tier. And if your performance are really degrade heavily in storage pool or in static volume, you can consider backup your data to enable over-provisioning and see effects. So here is some kind of slogan, is that choosing SSD is hard, but choosing QNAP is simple. Because we know the major benefit of this software-defined over-provisioning is a user, because we don't know how SSD's consist performance will be, because as we see the Micron's report that the SSD consist performance can only be observed after write the SSD for one time, a second time, or even a third time. And this is hard to measure when we just get the sample SSD. So choosing SSD is really hard. But with this over-provisioning feature that our customer in Spanish right now, he actually can bring a stable performance of write 450 MB per second and read for 300 MB per second. and so this speed can pair with the 10D solution because of our over-provisioning solution.
Okay.
So with this concept, we no longer, if your SSD performance experience SSD low performance or performance degrades, you no longer need to we no longer need to tell the user to purchase a new SSD, but instead we can use this performance tuning method of provisioning to see if the performance can be enhanced.
Okay.
Okay, so after seeing all those concepts, is all SSD require the additional over-provisioning? The answer is no. Actually, because the SSD controller and the garbage collection mechanism may be different between different SSD vendor and model, it might be not that every SSD need over-provisioning. For example, this Intel Optane SSD is a new generation of SSD with a 3D export technology. It actually does not require garbage collection inside the SSD. And as you can see in a computer sheet, the Intel Optane NWSD can have a higher consistent write performance even compared to Intel itself data center SSD. So this is why we have not only creating the software-defined SSD external over-provisioning, but we also have created a unique app called SSD profiling tool, which can allow users to measure the benefit of over-provisioning from every NAS directly. So user can simply download this app in the App Center when for policy profile release and can test the best SSD over-provisioning ratio before actually creating data array or SSD cache. So after all those introduction, let's go to the demo to see how we can utilize this tool.
Okay.
Okay, so this is a 4.3.5 QTS system, and we open storage snapshot. And you can see that when we're creating SSD cache, we can now allow users to select different over-provisioning ratio. For example, I select this 2, this 9 and this 10 to SSDs, and then you can see the over-provisioning ratio can be adjusted here between 0% not used or 16%, which is full over-provisioning. But we actually recommend user to conduct this SSD profiling tool before they change the over-provisioning ratio. It is very important because SSD capacity is very valuable. So we can open this SSD profiling tool directly, and in this test, you can see they have in the test report, I already conducted some SSD profiling tests. And for example, in this test, we can see that I have used 2 Samsung SSD as RAID 1. And you can see the performance difference when it has no over-provisioning and when it has a different over-provisioning ratio. And below, we can further see a chart which is showing that, for example, if I want the target IOPS is maybe 20,000, and you can give me a desired over-provisioning ratio for me to configure. So we have provided this tool to help user to identify different the over-provisioning effects on different SSD. And still, it is very important that we need to understand that this test is conducting on the host NAS, and it does not concern the application and internet level. So this performance actually can still change depending on the actual using scenario. And we will recommend the user to first tracking their application or NAS performance, and then select the appropriate IOPS for the SSD based on the application requirement. And we will not suggest user to just using a 14 over-provisioning ratio simply because the 14 over-provisioning rate can reach a higher performance. But we want user and distributor to observe the using scenario and the requirement IOPS with the application in advance, and then choose the guaranteed IOPS through this SSD profiling tool. And here, for example, we can use the tool Q Center to identify the current over-provisioning rate current performance. So example, I can find the NAS here and like select performance. Okay, and then I can see the following long IOPS. And here, let's just check this. Little OPS value and then apply. And you can see that with this SSD a steady volume, the performance can be varied between 10,000 IOPS and 5,000 IOPS because this SSD rate does not have over-provisioning and the performance can drop. So if in this scenario, like you actually require the SSD to have always be over 10,000 IOPS, you can go back to the SSD profiling tool and see that okay, right now this little, if no over-provisioning ratio, the performance might not be as required, and user can select this, for example, this 10% over-provisioning, and from this record, you can see that with this 10% of over-provisioning, the IOPS can be guaranteed in the test to be over 10,000 IOPS. Okay. This is how we can use the SSD profiling tool combined with the other record tools such as QCenter to identify the best over-provisioning ratio for your using scenario.
Sure.
So let's go to the slide.
Okay.
Okay. So here in the end, I want to emphasize that there have some species scenarios might need over-provisioning more than the other solutions. And one important scenario is Thunderbolt NAS uses case. For example, you can see in the below chart multicam. This is a scenario in the current virtual reality development. Now the R&D need to scan object in different angle to create a full 3D image. And so many cameras need to transfer the picture to the NAS. And this is very important for the Thunderbolt NAS to have the over-provisioning ratio even using SSD, so that the NAS can support this intensive write operation from all those cameras, while at the same time maintain a higher SSD endurance. Okay, so after talking about SSD over-provisioning, we see that in our QNAP global SSD cache, it can right now support many different configurations. For example, it can support read-write cache, read-only cache, and different reconfiguration, and different SSD type from SATA, SAS, M.2, QN2, and PCIe SD. But the most important thing in this chart is in the below. You can see, for example, this read-write cache. If the SSD capacity is not enough, even using read-write cache, some data might still need to be write into the HDD first. And this is a very important topic, and we want to improve it so that all the SSD capacity can be fully utilized based on user scenario. So the first new advanced SSD cache option is we support write-only cache. This write-only cache is originally promoted by Microsoft, which replaces an NVMe SSD in front of a flash storage array, so that the data that required continue modify be stored at NVMe first, and then after the data is confirmed, then write to the all-flash storage array to ensure to reduce the write times needed for the SSD storage array. But as QNAP as a storage vendor, we believe that write-only cache can provide more benefit and higher ROI for IT manager who purchase SD in some special scenario. The first one is a high-intensive file server. For example, the Thunderbolt NAS we see from above slide. And secondly, for database that require to write a lot of random data, but does not need so many reactions. For example, the IoT server, which need to collect log from all the different devices. And finally, for example, Intel Optane SSD can also be used as a write-only cache to achieve the same concept as this NVMe SSD to increase the SSD array's endurance. So we have this write-only cache be supported and enabled in our 4.3.5, so that user can enjoy a variety SSD configuration. For example, in this TS 3085U, you can see that we use RAID 16 as actually offline storage array, and you can reach a very high read IOPS, but because of the write penalty, the write performance for this RAID 16 is actually not very good. At this time, we can create another SSD RAID 10 write-only cache to improve the write performance. So the performance of the both the read and write can become faster, and this all-flash array can have a higher capacity and endurance. And the second advanced feature we support now is that in SSD cache, we allow users to create SSD cache with read file and resist. And it's very important that we originally does not support SSD cache with read file and resist, because in those two RAID configuration, there has a write penalty on them. So when user use read-write cache, we actually does not advise user to use read file and resist. But for read-only cache and for read-write cache lies emphasized on the read, SSD cache with read file and resist can still be utilized because it provide more SSD space and allow more data be accelerated with the cache. So right now we have, after some tests, we have decided to allow user to also configure read file and resist in the SSD cache, because as we can see that in this comparison, now the screen show read and write performance for the SSD cache with RAID 10 and RAID 5 is actually not so different, and the capacity of the RAID 5 SSD cache can increase and store more data for cache. Okay, so after all those advanced features, we understand now that in 4.3.5, QNAP NAS have provide a total solution for user who use our NAS with the SSD. In this table, you can see that we have some sample to demonstrating how user can configure the SSD cache based on different application. For example, the file server can have, because it have both read and write action, so it can have a RAID 10 cache with 20% of over-provisioning, while for read-only cache, user can certainly select RAID 5 to enjoy a higher cache capacity, while only use 10% of over-provisioning ratio, because over-provisioning does not affect on the read performance.
Okay.
And for all the other table, you can refer to them and deciding the best configuration. And finally, two small topic is that some customer may ask SSD cache or QTS, which is better. And actually, from this slide, you can see that in compare of SSD cache, QTS can also have the same performance. While it's just a minor difference between the IOPS is that SSD cache might be better in the run-dense access, we believe the major difference between SSD cache and QTS is whatever user can utilize the SSD capacity. So if your scenario does not require a real-time performance boost, such as Spanish TP station, and your data have a fixed asset pattern, you can actually enable a QTS as your solution, because you can utilize SSD capacity to store data. While for the burst performance that need to be come out in any time, for example, like the TP station, you can use SD cache to boost your performance. Another improvement is that in 4.3. Earlier version 4.3.4, when you use SD cache with snapshot, you might sometimes notice that when we take a snapshot, the system will inform you that the SSD data need to be flashed back to storage before a snapshot can be taken. And in 4.3.5, we improve this architecture that when taking snapshot, SSD cache data will also be recorded. So in 4.3.5, the user will no longer see this note message, and this allow our snapshot can be taken in a more higher frequency. For example, we every 30 minutes a snapshot. Okay, this is all introduction in storage and snapshot about in SD cache. So it still take 1 hour.
Yeah, but basically, every one of you should know that how important the topic is, because I think that to use SSD is a very important structure for you to build up your own storage capacity, since that the hard disk price is now getting lower. Of course, the SSD price is also getting lower. And if you want to build up a good environment for you to do the storage thing or the read and write IOPS thing, I really think that you should put more focus on how all the adventures are from our QTS 4.3.5. So it's worth 1 hour, I think. Yeah, of course it's worth 1 hour.
Okay.
Because we have so many new things that will definitely improve all the performance from each of your NAS, right? So the second part will be the storage space management. Basically, every time when we hear about the management, okay, I think is that I put several new hard disks in, and I create my own pool, my own volume, and maybe I can do the monitoring for the read and write the chart, right? So I think there are something more in the QTS 4.3.5. So please tell us about that.
Okay, in this 4.3.5, we want to introduce to user for a more flexible space management solution. And it's exciting for us to announce that we finally have the volume shrink, which is being requested by many users. And also our feasibility is starting to support enterprise level protocol iSER. And finally, we also porting also being requested by customer, because the other company already have this feature. We are porting the Seagate IOPS power management into our QTS system. So here is the challenge is that in a time of 10 gig, more and more data need to be stored in the NAS, and the storage capacity need to be carefully planned. But sometimes mistake will still happen, and some user will say there may not have enough space because the space is over allocated. So how we can change the storage space allocation dynamically based on requirement, and how we can identify our HDD solution with a Seagate HN tool. We will introduce those features in this introduction. So still first, I want to show you that our QNAP is now already support a very different configuration to create a flexible storage. We not only provide a thick volume, which is a guaranteed space, we also provide a thin provisioning volume, and as you can see, properly long, which allow the space allocation can depending on the actual usage. So as you can see in the chart, multiple thin volume can be created at the same time and allow the storage port to automatically distribute the space between those thin volume without pre-allocated. And we also provide the other functions such as encrypted thick or thin volume and file-based ISCSI long for users' usage. Still, in the past, it is very difficult to pre-allocate space. Although it might be simple at start, later on it might be turned out that the configuration is wrong. For example, we know a lot of users or home user, when they initiate the NAS, they mention next, and when the space allocation, they just click the maximum value. And later on, the user may find out that there has no enough space to create a second volume or using the snapshot feature. And also another thing is that even this mistake can also happen for IT manager. Yes. One IT manager can create multiple thin volume for different users to allocate, and it might turn out that one application or one user specifically need guaranteed space to ensure the application or the data can continue to be stored. At this time, it might also be hard to guarantee a thin volume space, because the thin volume space is only distributed when it be used, and some space may already be allocated to the other volume. So right now, we introduce the resize volume wizard, or called the shrink function, which allow IT manager to quickly reduce the size of a thick and thin volume. So to allow a thick volume over allocated space can be released for the other volume or long or snapshots utilization, and also a thin volume's plain space can be reduced to decrease the risk of over-subscribing, which is that the thin volume plain space is over the space that storage pool can provide and might lead to accidentally service stop. Also, this wizard is very easy to use for all the users because we know that the space allocation issue is also very important for home user. So this wizard is very simple. You just need to go to volume management wizard and select a new size for your volume, and then click apply. And then this volume will start to shrinking or expanding based on your requirement. So let's see a quick demo on the volume shrink.
Okay.
Okay, so let's open the storage snapshot. And now in storage snapshot this page, you can see we have two thick volume. They are both they have different size. And for example, my second volume is now 200 gigabits, and because it's not used by any application or file, and I already have some space being occupied by snapshot, I want to further reduce this space so more space can be used for snapshot. So I just click this resize volume wizard, and it's now 200 gigabit and change to 100 and click apply. And of course, during this time, the volume service may be stopped. Okay, so right now you're already starting the shrinking operation, and you can see the percentage change here. And this process might take a longer time for a bigger volume, but for this volume, it will take just a while before the size being reduced. Okay, so you can see that right now in the storage station, this volume size has been reduced, and you can see that more space has been freed back to the storage pool. So this is a simple demonstration of how this simple shrunk volume can solve the problem that our customer is always been asking for. Yes.
Yeah. So let's go back to the slides.
Okay. So now we not only provide a volume shrink function, we also allow a thin volume to be converted back to a thick volume. You may remember that in 4.3.4, we support convert thick to thin to release volume space back to storage port. And right now, we think that it might also be important for IT manager to guarantee about thin volume space usage when you have multiple thin volume. So right now, we fully support all the volume convert operation and volume expansion and shrink. So this flexible wizard will help user to better manage the storage space, because again, when standing on the user's point of view, we don't want the system vendor to tell us to just purchase another more disk or purchase another NAS because we don't have enough space and some space is being wasting because of a wrong allocation. We want to have a solution for the user to directly change the allocated capacity, so to fully utilize every DB in the NAS system. So this is the whole package we provide for the users. And finally, one improvement we made is that we have the encrypted volume in storage snapshot, and now in file station, we can also quickly using this default app to lock an encrypted volume. So yes, this is another improvement we have made related to storage snapshot. So another important topic is that right now in 4.3.5, we support VJ-bar with ROCE-based iSER. So for some power user, you may know that in earlier version, we have cooperated with VMware and Mellanox so that our NAS can utilize the iSER connection between the VM ESSi and our iSCSI. And because of VJ-bar, which is a solution, as you see in the chart, that we can use the Ethernet to expand one NAS capacity with another NAS. In this solution, because it's also based on iSCSI technology, we have also ported this enterprise level technology to the VJ-bar function. So what is iSER? So the whole name for iSER is SCSI Extension for RDMA, and RDMA means Remote Direct Memory Access, which is goal is to simply let the network transfer can bypass the network drive level, the circuit layer, and finally the CPU, so the transfer data can reach the NAS memory directly. So in this technology, we have cooperated with mouse. So right now, if both NAS have NIC card that support ROCE-based iSER with mouse NIC card, and it has a switch that support priority flow control, user can enable the iSER connection and to increase VJ bus performance dramatically. So here in this simple test, we use one NAS. This is a new model that is about to release, TS1677XU, which is SD4 10GB networks card built into the model. We use this NAS to test the performance of VJ bar between a VJ bar disk that have iSER and another with a traditional TCP protocol, and see the performance difference. And you can see that actually with iSER has been enabled, both random read and write performance has been increased. Okay, so enough for the talk. Let's just see a live demo. But before that, I want to also mention that with this VJ bar connection, all exists mechanism for VJ bar still exists. For example, our VJ bar supporting the auto reconnect when disconnects. So when a VJ bar connection is lost, it will try to reconnect the VJ bar back and with iSER protocol. And also for users who use VMware and iSER, it might be hard to configure because we need to install driver into the VMware first. And for QTS system, it's very simple. You're just using this wizard and select an interface between a host NAS interface and remote NAS interface, and then the iSER can be enabled. Okay, so let's see a demonstration on the iSER VJ bar.
Okay.
Okay, so you can see that right now in this NAS, I have two VJ bar disks. One is using the iSER connection, and another one is using the TCP connection. Okay, I will test this with a VM installed in this NAS. Okay, without meter. So there is a scenario that because I want to use the VJ bar disk to create more VM, and right now I have mounting two virtual disks inside this VM. As you can see, there has two disks. One is iSER and another is no iSER, and they are being creating on the two virtual disks creating by the VJ bar. And so right now I open the configuration of non-iSER test. Start. And you see the IOPS performance is about 2000. It's actually a little bit low even for VJ bar connection. And after you realize this performance, let's start this performance test. And then we use another configuration, iSER. And we run this test.
Okay.
You can see the performance, the random write IOPS, which is the pattern I use, has been increased double from 2000 to 5000. This is a major benefit of iSER. And in this environment, I have disabled the host system cache. While enable the host system cache, this performance can become higher because I also use SSD cache in the remote in the VJ bar NAS. But right now I have disabled this cache to show you the major benefit iSER can provide for users who use VJ bars. Okay, so this is a demonstration for the VJ bar connection. Let's go back to the slides.
Okay.
Okay, so another topic is that finally we have introduced the Seagate iChain into our QTS system. We have introduced this because in the slide you can see that sometimes even our NAS system we cannot identify a disk issue because the SMART information cannot identify specific disk information, such as first one is bad connection between NAS and disk, which may cause the disk be continually recessed and the performance will be dropped. And the second one is some vibration in the HDD can also lead to future abnormal block. And those issues may not be reflected directly on the small information now, so we need to use, this is why we have put in the IO chain into our system. So as you can see in the table, the Seagate IOPS power management right now in our QTS 4.3.5 can support predict analysis of a variety of issues such as vibration or connection issue, or it can also analyze SMART attribute and define if the HDD is about to have any SMART abnormal and info user in advance. So this is how IOChain we believe can benefit the user who use the IOPS drive and improve the storage security protection. So in this Seagate IOChain, we have committed to continue improve this utility, and also in this first release, we will provide some additional information. For example, the default warranty stay will allow users who purchase the Seagate IOPS drive to identify the drive shipment warranty stay, and this can allow them to be more aware of the warranty stay. And of course, Seagate and us have agreed that if you have the purchase record, you can still use the purchase record as a final warranty stay. But we provide this information so IT manager can better track different disk warranty and replace disk early on. And secondly, we also provide workload status, which allow user because we know warranty stay may not be the most accurate measurement for measure the warranties. We can also use the workload to see how many data has been already read and write to the HDD, and use this to calculate the warranty day. And further, and we can also use this workload record to analyze the application work pattern in the disk level. So this is some excluded feature that we provide with iChain. And finally, let's go to the final topic. Yes, snapshot remote restore and each point import.
Yeah. So basically, there are several new things compared to the previous version of our QTS system. So I think that will be also the most important thing, because we have also heard some voices from all the enterprise users. So let's check it out.
Okay. So in this important function, we will also actually snapshot has also been improved dramatically in our 4.3.5, which degree can send us the SSD Over-provisioning and SSD cache formation. But because we have another live streaming in maybe next week, so we will just quickly demonstrating all the new features in this introduction. And for now, we will in this 4.3.5, the most important topic is that we allow user to restore snapshot content in a remote snapshot file directly from the source NAS. So we have provided this feature because many customers have encountered a challenge is that the backup data recovery cannot be complete within the given time and cause some losses. And we want to ensure that the user's data can be recovered in a timely manner. So business needs shorter or lower RTO, because basically in a surveys for Taiwanese enterprise and SMB customer users, many users have claimed that they have a remote backup plan, and they have expecting the backup can be the backup can be recovered in 1 hour. But actually, in fact, around also half of those users have experienced that their recovery time is actually over a day. So this is a very a number that can be as a reference, because many users want to have a lower RTO, but in fact this cannot be achieved, because not only because the recovery network speed, but also because manually need to select some file and then recover them back to the source NAS by using external device. And those might not be enough for a modern enterprise IT manager. So right now in 4.3.5, our snapshot manager not only allow user to browsing local snapshot, but also the remote snapshot. So the remote snapshot can actually be viewed in the snapshot manager. And then we will allow the user to have three different types of restore method, which is one is select different file and restore through the network, or user can also use the block-based method to recover or clone the whole snapshot from the remote NAS, and to clone as a new volume or long, or create as a new or override the existing volume or long. So those methods are provided in our 4.3.5 snapshot. However, those functions still depending on the network restore speed, so it might need to pair with a faster network, for example 10 gig. So let's quickly into a domain demo to see how a file can be restored from the source NAS.
Yeah, so let's go to the computer.
Okay. Okay, so in this file station, we can see it has some picture and one ISO file. And let's open the snapshot manager directly in the volume. Okay, so here we can see it has some local snapshot, but most importantly, we can now also browsing the remote snapshot in the snapshot folder, And inside we can see that this folder contains some the data that have been transferred to the remote NAS. Let's close this manager now, and right now I will demonstrate to delete all those files directly and see if they can be recovered from the snapshot. So I have removed all the file, and let me open the file snapshot manager again, and let me open this snapshot file, latest snapshot, and enter this snapshot demo.
Okay.
So right now I will click all those files and restore them back to the source NAS. And you can see that here is a 4 gigabit of ISO file, because right now I'm using a 10 gig to recover. So I also want to demonstrate the speed of 10 gig. I use this. Okay. Okay, as you can see right now, the file is starting to be recovering back. And let me open a resource monitor. And you can see that it have starting to have some transfer the data back from the remote NAS back to the source NAS.
Okay. So the total amount of the data file should be like over 4 gigabytes.
Yes. So in the 1 gig network, it might need to some time to transfer all those data. But right now you can see the transfer is already finished.
Okay.
In the resource monitor. And let's close this as well, and refresh. You can see that all the file, including the ISO file, has been recovered back to the source NAS.
Yeah.
Yes, this is a simple demonstration of the remote snapshot file restore.
Sure. Let's go back to the slides.
Okay. So we just demonstrating use 10 gig of network to recovering data, but still, if a user does not have a 10 gig network, for example, me, I personally use in my home 2 of my NAS just 1 gigabit network. So it might still be hard for me to recover my data from another NAS using the remote snapshot file restore. So we have provided 4 methods, which called snapshot export and import, which allow user to export local snapshot or snapshot from our system to an external device. And using this image file, the user can quickly move in the file with an external RAID device or USB, and then using the image file to restore the content back to the source NAS by creating new volume or long, or override the volume or longs. So this is a method that can be utilized when network speed between two NAS is not fast enough, but also can help IT manager or user to recover their data from remote NAS quickly. So we all those restoring method, right now we have provide multiple and flexible restoring option for the NAS users. For example, in file server, of course, we can using the 4.3.5 latest function, which is called restore from snapshot file. We can select some file and restore that back, just as I demonstrating. And for iSCSI storage servers, we can also using the same function to revert the whole iSCSI LAN from remote back to the source. And we still can using another method called snapshot clone, and we clone the iSCSI LAN in a remote NAS directly and let the iSCSI initiator to connect to the clone's NAS, cloning iSCSI LAN. So they have many different solutions for the user to select from. And we just see that with a 10 gigabits of switch, the recovery time of a snapshot file restore can be dramatically reduced. So for this example, is while using the 1 gigabit of switch, the 4 gigabit of ISO file may need more time to restore, but with 10 gig, you only need a couple of seconds before the file can be returned back. Okay. So after introduce all those snapshot restoring function, there have still some improvement I want to introduce. The first one is that if the NAS does not have faster network, sometimes it might be difficult for a user to configure a snapshot replica task at the beginning, because as we can see in the picture is that in the first snapshot replica task, not only a snapshot but also the whole volume or LAN need to be transferred to the remote NAS. And the snapshot replica speed can only be increased after the whole volume being transferred to a remote NAS, and the NAS you can only transfer the data difference stored in the snapshot. For this question, right now we have provided a solution that allows user to export the first snapshot copies to an external RAID device or USB directly. So using this method, even the network speed is slow, user can still very quickly to transfer the first snapshot copy into remote NAS and using it to creating a snapshot replica task. So in the first transfer, you might need to using an external RAID device, but this can be deployed very quickly with the transportation. And later on, the snapshot replica can just transfer the difference in the snapshot and can create multiple snapshot replica tasks easily. And for user who does not have two NAS to conduct snapshot replica, we also provide a LAN export import function, which the LAN can be exported as an image file to Linux or Windows server, and later on import back to the same NAS or different NAS. So with all those backup and restore solution, here is still a summarized table. Is that right now with the 4 remote snapshot file, restoring a snapshot replica can be a very easy solution, which allows user to backup and restore whole volume and LAN. Because as you see, the most important thing is that the recovery solution, right now we support not only to remotely recover, we also support to recover data or whole volume or LAN from the stored NAS or from the import image file directly. So snapshot replica can be a very can be an enterprise level solution for your NAS backup and restore.
Okay, so we have gone through the 3 topics. Like the first one is the software thing for the SSD and the new over-provisioning thing. And then we can now support write-only cache or the RAID 5 and 6, which are all the new things for all of our users to like enhance all the performance inside of your NAS with the current equipment you have. And then the second of the important part is like we can now you can enlarge or you can shrink down your volume or the storage capacity that you already have. So you don't have to worry about to create a new volume or to create a new share folder for someone else with the all the settings of the authority, or even you are using an AD or LDAP, something like that. And of course, we have put something more, such as Seagate IOPS health management. So as long as the the hard disk you have can support IOPS health management. You can all see the information with our NAS. And then the last thing is that the remote snapshot. Now we can do the backup recover from the like the remote side of your NAS, or we can now do the export and import all the data files, all the snapshot backups from your own NAS or from the remote side of your NAS, which we want to do everything based on enhance your performance, no matter it's on the speed of your transmission, transmission, or your read and write IOPS. All of this are based on having a 10 GBE generation coming. So we want to be the pioneer, and we still want to be the good partner of all of our QNAP users. So we hope you like the video today, and thank you for telling us all of the new things and all the demonstration. It has been 1.5 hours. So let's go back to the live. And this topic is to talk about the storage and how can we maximize the performance of the storage for your SSD and your snapshot and management, and of course the restore of your backup. And then if you like our video, please don't forget to subscribe our channel, or you can go to our live.qnap.com new website. We have all of our videos up there, and let's go. Can we show that? Yeah, we have all of our new videos up there, and we have a new method and solution for you to check each of the parts that you want to know directly. And that is all for the topic today. Thank you, Ripple. Yeah, it has been hard work for you.
Okay.
And next week, Ripple will show us about the detail for the snapshot. So we will get to know more about the new version of our operation system, QTS 4.3.5 and QNAP. We will see you on the next week live broadcast. Bye bye.
Bye bye.